Hi Jay.
Thank you very much for having me. I've been following.
Sudeep Audio's channel.
Thank you. I've been following your work and some of the videos that you've been putting up. I think it's a damn good effort.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for giving us some attention. The guys in the back.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
really important. And here is a guy in the back who deserves to be in the front also now.
Yeah.
The kind of work that you're doing, or the different bands that you've kind of set up or are part of.
Yep.
We'll talk about that.
Sure.
Why don't we start with some influences of yours in terms of your upbringing, which
Sure.
got you to.
I started playing. Honestly, I think this whole thing happened by accident. Quite honestly, I had nothing to do with music. Before I had my first ever drum lesson with Arthur Soni, the drummer. So
You don't belong to a musical family.
Not at all.
Parents,
No, not at all. My
uncle, or whatever.
Nobody that I know of from my mom's side or my dad's side had anything to do with music. Maybe with film. My dad's father was a director in the Marathi film industry and stuff like that. But a friend of mine was learning guitar, and there was a small music school in Bandra called Allegro back in the day, maybe like 2002. Yeah. So he said, there's Chandresh was teaching there. So he went to go, and join his lessons and whatnot. So I said, man, I'll just check it out. See, drums seemed cool. It just seemed something that seemed like fun. And I used to love listening to bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Incubus, Limp Bizkit, Metallica back in the day. I still do. But, so I said, I'm just going to go and check it out and see what playing drums were. And I still remember the first, like, Arthur was the first guy I saw play drum set, like, from a foot away, and it blew my mind, man. It's like, what is this? It's so much fun. How do I do it? I want to do it,
But nothing else interested you in terms of drawing as a kid? Or
I am a pathetic...
Or anything else? Sports?
I was average in sports, maybe in school. I used to be a fast runner, believe it or not, when I was a lot younger. But, no, I was an average student, maybe even below average. Dyslexic kid, struggled with maths and science. And
Or do you have this?
yeah, I do, yeah. So I had a hard time in school with that. Somehow managed to scrape through, and I flunked my 8th standard, I remember, which was pretty hard hit.
Tough childhood in terms of school?
No, school was actually a lot of fun. The studies was terrible. I had a lot of friends. I went to 3 schools until I finished my 10th. So I made a lot of friends. Still I'm in touch with a lot of them. And so I had nothing to do, and I said, let's just go to music school, and I checked it out, and it was mad fun. And then I remember Gino Banks was a senior of mine in school, and I knew of him. I knew that, and of course Louis Banks and everything. So you read about him and whatnot, and okay, he's a drummer. Maybe I should try and get in touch with him. So a common friend gave me his number, and I said, hey man, you actually punished me. He was a prefect, believe it or not. He actually punished me. I was like, you punished me and blah blah blah, all that shit. I want to learn drums, can I come? So he's like, yeah, come. And then ever since, that's been my school, man. Like right here in this garage.
So you've been learning with Gino for so many years?
For many years. Before I went to music school. I still learn from him.
Right.
And he's been like a big brother to me in this whole thing. If anything, if you ask, who's your musical family, it's probably the Banks family. Just hanging out, watching them rehearse, it taught me so much, man.
In a city like Bombay,
Yeah.
having drums occupy almost half a bedroom.
It's terrible, man.
So, were you lucky in terms of space at home? Or?
I was not in my house. We owned a small room in Khardanda, which is still around, and I've been rehearsing there with like the multiple bands that I've been playing with since I was a kid. There, like I would get in, I would finish college, or I would rather not go to college, and I'd get in at 4. There'd be a rehearsal from 4 to 6, and then 6 to 9. So 2 bands every day. And I think that was like a major thing that boosted my level of playing and whatnot. It really helped me.
No, so how many hours a day were you playing during those?
Minimum 5 back then.
Hands pain?
No. We used to, so Gino used to teach me this stuff. I used to go home and kind of practice it and try and utilize it in some way.
So how do you practice this alone?
On a pad. Like for the first 2 years that I started playing, I didn't have a drum set. And the deal with my mom was that if I scored well in my 10th, that she'd get me a drum set. So as I put all my determination somehow into it, I got a good like 82% in my 10th.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
But
nice.
although it was NOS, it was Delhi board. It
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
like ICSE or science and stuff like that.
No, given little that you're a special child.
Yeah, I'm special for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember then we went to Fatatos, and back then there were very limited options for gear. There was Mapex was the best and it was the most expensive. There was Magnum, Chancellor, and things like that. And somehow I happened to go to Bhargava's and found a Premier drum set. That was my first drum set ever.
Right.
My mom paid 30,000 rupees, and it's the best thing she ever gave me. And yeah, you asked me what the turning point was. I remember I'd been playing for a bit, and the Rolling Stones played at Wankhede. So I remember going for that gig, and I was just thinking, fuck man, these guys are like 60 plus, and look at what they're doing. Like, it's fascinating. They're putting on such a good show. And I remember texting my mom like then, saying, Ma, like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. She's like, do it, man. You have our support. So
Excellent.
yeah. So I don't think, honestly, I think there are so many hidden talents for not just drums, just so many things in this country that are being suppressed by
Because of?
by parents, I would say. And also, I mean, again, it's a financial thing and stuff like that. I come from like a normal upper middle class family. My mom still works and stuff. So it depends, but I guess in some way, if you're struggling to prove yourself, you just have to keep doing it, and your parents will kind of understand maybe at some point and see that, you know, there is, and now it is a legitimate job. You can say I'm a musician. People are like, okay, yeah, this is what I do for a living, you know. So
Correct. It's an interesting thing you just mentioned, that suppressed by parents.
absolutely, yeah.
Similarly, for musicians of today, talented musicians in various parts of our country, not
Yes.
just Bombay,
Yeah.
do you think that this commercial film music is also suppressing talent in some way?
I would think it is, in many ways.
How?
Um,
Because you do play in
I do.
bands.
It's a lot of my work is that. The way I see it is you have to find the balance, man. I mean, I'm part of about 4 or 5 independent bands, which is what independent music is, which pays shit, quite honestly. So I have to find work that pays me. I mean, you know, everyone's got bills to pay.
Yes.
So I think you have to find that balance. I mean, why did I start playing drums? I started playing drums because it made me really, really happy, you know. A lot of the times I play music that doesn't really appeal to me, but at the same time, I as an individual am trying to give my 100%, put my stamp on that job, whatever it is,
Right.
and make it like, at least even if I don't like the music, I can walk away and say I've done a good job, the client is happy, so be it, you know. But
Correct. You give it your 100%. You don't.
I have to, man. I mean, that, like, there's this discipline thing that I got from Gino. I mean, that's just the way it is.
So what are the things you learned from Gino in terms of, as bullet points, if you could tell
Yeah,
us?
I mean, definitely the playing bit, and generally he's just so dedicated and he's headstrong, man. I mean,
No, that's what. I mean,
yeah.
what did you imbibe
that's
from
what
him?
that's one of the things I picked up. Like, sick or not sick, tired not tired, work. You know, that's what comes first. People are depending on you. Things like that. He's here like all day. I was here all day watching him, and then he would show me stuff and whatnot. One of the big things I learned from him is like being obsessed about what you do. I mean, say someone calls you for a song, I'm not just gonna take like, okay, I'm gonna take some random drums and this that. I try and call them beforehand, say, hey, you know, what's the song like? What kind of, I mean, what's the approach? Accordingly, I'll take snare drums. Accordingly, I take cymbals. I mean, that's what keeps it alive for me. Okay, now this is the approach. This is a big, heavy song. I'm gonna get a nice deep snare drum, big cymbals, and I think that's why people call me and him, and they realize the fact that we give it 100%, whatever it is. If you want us to do 5 takes, we'll do it. 10 takes, we'll do it. Hopefully, we'll nail it in the first. But if you want variations, whatever it is, and that's the god, man. I mean,
And you enjoy it also.
I love it. It's fascinating for me. You know, I'll call whoever calls me for a session, saying, okay, it's a bit of like a pop funk thing. I'll take my smaller drums and then I'll figure out the tuning and stuff like that. I'm always thinking about that before I reach there. That's what keeps it alive. Otherwise, it's boring.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like I'm waking up, like going to wherever, doing my job, coming back home, watching cricket or something, going to sleep.
It's what most of us do. I mean, most people who do jobs do that.
Yeah.
Right? They're just doing it for the heck of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we're so lucky. This is our job. Like, we love what we do, man. So, we're the lucky ones, especially in this country.
Oh,
Because there's a lot going against us, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Generally, like, not just drummers or anything, just generally.
What are the kind of songs that you listen to at home or when you're with others?
I listen to a lot of heavy metal, actually.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bands like progressive heavy metal, like Periphery, Animals as Leaders, Carnival. And then I listen to a lot of drummers as well. I love listening. Like, my favorite drummers, probably the two guys of all time, are Dennis and Vinny. I mean, to me, like, Vinny Colaiuta is the guy, man. Like, the super drummer, the Superman. I mean, there's Buddy Rich, who's probably the fastest guy ever and the most intense guy to ever hit a snare drum or whatever. But Vinny Colaiuta has the ability to play anything and to make it sound like he's just playing that, you know, like if he's playing a country song, it's like, man, he's the best country drummer there ever is. He's played with like Faith Hill and Megadeth, just poles apart. To me, that's fascinating. Like, what is he doing? I want to study him, so I keep studying him and stuff like that.
Now, when you study somebody, for example, now you have a lot of access to, international artists through YouTube.
Thank God for YouTube, man.
Yes, and we have a lot of these musicians who are not so fortunate to have been trained by Gino or
absolutely, yeah.
or been
Although,
a musical
sorry to disturb you, I must admit that it's quite mind blowing that there are kids coming all the way from Indore and Gujarat and just all over the country. They take a train, they take a bus because they want to get better.
So what do?
They come here to take lessons with Gino and whatnot.
Wow, that's really nice to know.
That's amazing, I think.
It's a good movement that he started, and he's sharing his knowledge.
Yeah, he's always been about that. Even his dad has always been about that. Come in and soak whatever you want and make it your own and leave feeling better, or just it helps, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this piece of information is very useful to a lot of viewers.
Yeah, this place is open to everyone. No one really comes here. I don't know why. It's always me and him and Vinayak and Andrew and a bunch of other drummers, and we can just come here and share.
Maybe now that they'll know that this is possible.
Please, yeah, you should come here, man. We play, we'll have fun. Even guitar players, bass players, anyone. It's just a place. I mean, just let him know that you're coming because he's busy. But yeah.
What is it that you, as a musician, as a drummer, look at when you're observing a musician or listening to a track?
Right.
Say, for example, when somebody's playing and you're watching that visual, what is it that you soak in? What is it that you...
It's a good question, actually. I mean, if I'm listening to a song that say Vinny's played on, I'd listen to everything. I'd break down, I mean, maybe if he's playing something cool on the kick drum, on his hi-hat, his ghost notes. There's like so many things you can break.
So are your ears tuned to only the drum sound, or
I would,
to everything else?
In a song, I would say it's a bit partial, and it tends to go towards the drums a bit more.
Right.
But I do listen to a lot of the other stuff, maybe a little later. Like, I love listening to guitar players as well. I thoroughly am fascinated by guitar players as well, and just the whole thing about getting sounds or pedals and stuff like that. It's very fascinating.
Correct. So do you kind of practice it at home along with that video? Or
sometimes.
How do you do this?
The thing is, lately for me, I'm still working on saving up to soundproof my drum room. So I haven't practiced in sat down and practiced on my own drum set for a good 3 years, which is a bad thing, man, honestly. But luckily for me, I've been busy playing.
So that is your practice?
Kind of, but then quite honestly, I do feel that things are getting a bit stale in my playing, and I'll be happy to admit it. Stale as in to the point where I just need to get some new shit down. That's what I think I need to do. So, it's not affecting my work or anything like that.
Not feel that you're practicing in their sessions.
No. I'm for when it's work, it's work. I mean,
Yeah. So
but I think that's the thing, but that's the thing, like, you gotta, and I come here, man, and he shows me some new stuff, blows my head away all the time.
Correct. Now when you listen to a song, you're not watching somebody play or observe how he's hitting the sticks. You're listening to a song on radio or on your iPod. What is it that you absorb? Again, your mind goes onto the drums?
No, I would, definitely. I would even get into the detail of what kind of, drum heads he's got, and I'd love to think
But
of
just
stuff like
listening
that. Oh yeah, I'd love to try
imagine?
and guess it. And we talk about that with Gino. Oh, do you think he's using coated heads? Oh no, maybe it's like not. Maybe he's using like a brass snare, and then that's the kind of stuff we talk about. It's really geeky stuff, but drummers I think will enjoy it. But that's that. And then if you're talking about playing wise, it's mainly like I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's just overall like the sound, the three basic: the kick, your hi-hat or ride, and the snare drum. So what is the approach to the song? Is he pushing the time? Is he holding back? Like I was fortunate enough to study at MI when I was over there. We had this damn good class called Inside Studio Drumming. So where we just sit and listen to different drummers, and they'd have examples of drummers that would be called in sessions because they're known to push the hi-hat and play ahead of the beat, things like that. So that's what I'm listening for. And again, if I'm called for a session, I'll ask the guy, whoever he is, like, do you want me to hold back, play a lot of fills, and that's how it works.
When you talk to another drummer or another musician, what is it that you guys kind of talk when you hang around?
With Gino, it's
do you kind of
drums or
bitch
food?
about the scene or?
Well, I mean, I don't know. The thing is, what is the scene? Everyone talks about the scene. There's your commercial Bollywood music, and there's the indie guys or whatever.
But indie guys is where?
They're there, man. They play their cheap gigs, they have fun, and they go home.
The message that a lot of, since I also interact with non-musicians a lot, they feel like these guys are from rich families.
That's not true at all.
They have a lot of money, so it's okay if they get paid 5,000 rupees a gig. And
that's not true. I mean, even the richest guy, even Sting, I'm sure, is a millionaire. He's not going to say, don't pay me less because I'm rich. He'll still charge his whole fee.
Right.
That's the way it should be, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is happening here, is now indies got this whole tag of being, it's not Bollywood, so why pay them more? And someone somewhere is making money, obviously. The bands are not getting it, for sure. So I don't know where it's going or whatever.
Do you think it will die after some time if this continues, this kind of a...
No, it's growing, for sure. The indie scene, you mean?
Yeah,
it's definitely growing. There's so many good bands, there's so many good drummers. Individually, the guys in these bands are getting better. Bands are writing really good songs. People are getting noticed. People are going abroad, playing tours and stuff like that.
That's great for the musicians and the music playing.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about also the audience.
Yeah.
Where can they kind of listen to this kind of music?
Well,
or
MTV,
get aware of...
MTV's got a new channel called MTV Indies.
Yeah.
YouTube again. That's your biggest indie supporter, I guess. But gigs are happening. I don't know. It's kind of hard to, unless you're into that thing and you're checking Facebook and you know the right people on Facebook. I don't think you know. Like, there's so many people, I'm sure, that would love to come and see these bands, but they just don't know about them. That's right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know how we're supposed to reach them. We don't have any help from any labels. No, that's never happening. I guess it's kind of the same thing all over the world. But again, now you have the two biggest things in this country are Bollywood and cricket, which have now kind of become one. The whole thing. But if you really want to come source what's happening, I'm sure if you really want to, you can find a way. It's just hard. To understand, okay, where's the next gig, this, that, unless you have a friend of a friend or a cousin or something who's going to a gig and he'll drag you along. That's usually how it works. And this guy, you imagine, like, he's coming and seeing like Demonic Resurrection for the first time. He's going to be fucking blown, man. So maybe he'll like it, maybe he won't. Hopefully he likes it for whoever. But that's
you
the
guys
thing.
Always kind of...
We're just doing it because, we have to, man. To keep the sanity. That's the real reason why we're doing that. Because I'm playing with bands like Pangea. We've been around for maybe a year and a half. Played about 4 or 5 shows. Most of them,
Which
of
other
them
bands play in a month?
Yeah, in a week maybe. Yeah. So we don't make any money. All the money we make goes into paying the jam room rehearsal place, So, and it's things like we have rehearsal that starts at like 11 p.m. till 3:30, 4 in the morning. We don't have to do any of this shit, but we just want to do it so badly. We want to play this music. Thankfully, there are people that like it,
yes,
and come to the shows and support us and whatnot. And we're just doing it. I mean, it's not like I don't know what's gonna happen in 5 years. Like, you never know. So, but we're doing it because we like to do it, I guess. So that's the thing.
Yeah. Any message that you'd like to give to musicians from, say, outside Bombay, or who are kind of getting a little disillusioned by thinking, what do I do? Because there are not many shows happening even outside. Anything that you would like to tell them or advise them?
Firstly, I mean, we're here, man. I mean, when I say we, I mean the drummers from Bombay. If you ever feel that you need to talk to someone, I mean, I don't claim to be like some big guy or whatever, but just, I think I've seen my fair share of gigs and experience that I can talk to someone and encourage them in any way. I'd love to. I can show you whatever I have learned, which is maybe not a whole lot, but I'd be more than happy to show these kids whatever. And in terms of like you were saying, parents suppressing and whatnot, I would say if you have to keep a day job, I mean, you have to, obviously, but just don't stop playing if that's what makes you happy. And then maybe you can find a way to not have your day job anymore, and practice, I guess. Don't forget why you started playing. I mean, I think a lot of people have, yeah, everyone's gonna make money and all that, but then are they happy? That's the thing. I mean, like I said, it's the balance thing. If you're making truckloads of money, and you're not happy musically, but for 5 years you're doing this, 10 years, whatever, you're gonna have a shit ton of money, and then one day you're just gonna wake up and say like, okay, these are the goals that I had. I wanted to play in bands like these. I wanted to, not tour the world. I mean, all of us would love to do that. It's not really happening. But generally, I guess, so I don't know. I'm maybe not an expert to speak on this, because I've never done that side. I've never done Bollywood tours. I've never been to Thailand with a band and stuff like that. Never, I mean, done gigs. I do one-off gigs and stuff like that. I like to be that kind of guy. I'm part of a bunch of bands, and then I like to approach sessions as like a 1 or 2, 3 time thing, whatever it is. But then I always go back to my bands. I mean, that's the way it is for me. I'm honestly, but I can say this because I don't have to pay rent. Maybe not yet, because I still live with my parents. Maybe shit will change. Maybe when you come talk to me in 6 years, when I have like a wife and a kid, if I do, that is, I don't know. But I mean, but then that's what I'm saying. Even if you have to do those gigs that pay your bills, what about the music? You still have some time that you can write other shit with some guys. So where's that? What's your excuse for not doing that? That's what I don't understand.
Right. So basically, don't give up and
yeah, play. I mean, yeah, or just find a way to accept what you have musically and then make it cool in your own head. I can't. Like, I mean, I'm trying to, but if I was playing in like some Kishore Kumar cover band, I'd be mind fucked, man. Seriously. So if you love Kishore Kumar or whatever it is, you're lucky. You're making money doing music that you love. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, I mean, being, like you said, like how do you strike that balance or whatever? It's an individual thing, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff, for
sharing
your views.
Thank you so much.
It was nice talking to you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.